Just imagine Tirupachi Vijay. And the audience, they have not seen him. And the Marudamanayla, when he did it right, we all clapped. It was like such a... He does all these things on set, and I think he went into a very serious zone of action. இது ஆரம்பிக்கும் போதே ஒரு பேங்க்ல தான் படம் ஆரம்பிக்கும், and it'll end with a bang. So it's...
Hello and welcome to The Hindu. Today we have with us producer Archana Kalpathi representing Team GOAT, or the greatest of all time. We are looking forward to the film. Let's see what she has to say. Hi Archana.
Hi.
எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
Good.
Super. So we last met I think in 2019, and I think it was the week just before Bigil was about to release. அந்த டைம்ல நீங்க எனக்கு I remember you telling me 160 crores படம் and படம் சூப்பராக வந்திருக்கு, and I remember you being very excited about it, and I see the same excitement in your face right now also. So what's going through your mind right now?
We finished the content delivery today morning at 4, so I'm very relieved. It's done. So all the KDMs will go on time, and my job actually finished today morning, so that is a big relief. Excitement, anticipation, it's like waiting for your board exam results, no? You have studied like one year of full cramming has happened. Now we have to see the result.
Can you take me back to the inception of GOAT, Archana? I remember Bigil Bodhu, you started to get involved in a full time into the AGS entertainment, into the scheme of things in that sense. In the project, how did it conceptualize? Where did you get in, and how did it all fall in place?
So Vijay sir and AGS had a lovely working relationship throughout Bigil. So we had decided we'll do another film together, and that has always been in the pipeline. And now on the general way, when I'm listening to scripts, I keep sir in mind as a hero, and I'll sort of like see work aguma. So sir called and said that the Madri dates are there from this year, in the month to in the month. Let's like start looking அப்படினு சொல்லும்போது we said okay என்ன பண்ணலாம் அப்படினு. அப்போ நிறைய டைரக்டர்ஸ் இருந்தாங்க, and it so happened that VP sir வந்து before Manadu, this was not even after the release of Manadu, before Manadu he came and generally we met through Joyson, and we were talking, and VP sir வந்து he's very creative, like one of those very original thinkers, right? Anytime you speak to him, he'll have 5 lines. He will not have one subject, he'll have 5 lines. He'll tell me like 5 stories in that 1 hour. He'll give me like இப்படி பண்ணலாம் அப்படி பண்ணலாம், இது மாதிரி ஒரு ஐடியா இருக்குது, இது மாதிரிலாம் we were talking about it. Then Manadu came. Manadu was a blockbuster, and we had signed VP sir like saying இது மாதிரி நான் எங்களுக்கு ஒரு படம் பண்ணலாம், we'll work on the script. Mostly சிவகார்த்திகேயன்ஸ் 25th film இதுதான் ஒரு ஐடியாவாக இருந்தது. சிவாவோடையும் நாங்கள் சைன் பண்ணியிருந்தோம். இதெல்லாம் ஒரு பக்கத்தில் பேரலாக போயிட்டு இருந்துச்சு. அண்ட் தென் சருக்கும் நாங்கள் வந்து ஒர்க் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருந்தோம். அப்போது வந்து when sir and I met, I told him in the line he had narrated for 2 characters, ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது. and I had spoken to VP also about this, saying இந்த லைனை வந்து நம்ம சருக்கு பண்ண முடியுமா. இட்ஸ் லைக் ஆமாம், நான் சருக்கு இது ஆக்சுவலி நரேட் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். he had narrated to sir in வாரசு. செம்மையாக இருக்கும் இது பண்ணானா. and we were talking about digital domain. This is a technically super difficult film to execute, okay? So he had seen Gemini Man. This has nothing to do with Gemini Man, but in Gemini Man, digital domain had come up with a technology of completely digitally recreating someone and de-aging them. That was the first time we've seen it. So we said it'll be amazing to just imagine like the Tirupachi Vijay. And the audience, they have not seen him. Like, we have all seen him while growing up, but for my son, the ones who are now seeing him at this stage, அது எடுத்துட்டு வந்து அவ்வளோ எக்ஸைட்டிங்காக இருக்கும். Why not try this? Sir also got very excited about it. Then we went and saw digital domain, and then we did a lot of research in LA, and then we went to Lola. And Lola, so because we have a time constraint, right? Like this is something that our company works with. For us, we want to fix the release date. We don't, we are quite particular about it, because we feel planning of a film becomes more complete when you have a fixed end date in mind, so that you start and you finish, you can work accordingly. So adu irukku. So we had a time constraint. So we were asking Lola. Lola said we can do it in your time. Anga US there was a strike against AI, and there was a massive strike happening. They could not take Hollywood films. They were happy to take our film. So we were super thrilled, and we said, you know what, okay, let's do this. And that's how the journey of a goat began.
AGS brand of film nu or film irukku. Can you tell our viewers what is an AGS kind of film and how greatest of all time falls in that category?
So I think a large part of the success goes to my father. He has a very commercial meter. Somehow he's able, and he watches all his films in theaters. He's a movie buff. Every weekend there is a film in my house. From the time I think I was 2 years old, Sunday na we will watch a picture. Wherever it is, whatever, we'll all go. All of us are film buffs. So AJs na eplina vandu our films we want to try, we want to push the boundary. That is what we are. We don't want to just keep doing what works, what pattern works. We always like to sort of try something a little different, something, but not so offbeat that it goes off track and non-commercial, but we like a story. We give a lot of importance to the story and the screenplay. I think fundamentally that is why we came in. That is why my father entered production, because that was the time of pot boiler mass masala films, and he said, why not make story oriented films? And he started with Thiruttappayile without a hero. Jeevan, he had done Kaka Kaka, he was the villain of Kaka Kaka, he could act really well. Sushi Ganesan sir vich Thiruttappayile, that was a journey. So நாங்கள் முதலேருந்தே வந்து ஸ்கிரிப்ட் ஹீரோன்றதை நம்பி தான் நாங்கள் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஸோ எங்களோட எல்லா கதைகள்லையுமே வந்து கதை இருக்கும். சம்டைம்ஸ் அது கமர்ஷியலாக ஒர்க் ஆகும், சம்டைம்ஸ் ஒர்க் ஆகாது, பட் ஒரு பேசிக் கதை இருக்கும்.
ஸோ ஹவு டஸ் கோட் இந்த மீட்டரில் நீங்கள் சொல்கிற மீட்டரில் கதையும் இருக்கணும், ஹீரோவும் இருக்கணும். இப்போ கோட் ஹவு டஸ் இட் ஃபால் இன் திஸ் explanation that you are giving us?
Yeah, so Vijay sir film with a proper story, screenplay and scale. You know, when you take a big actor, you have to give scale. You cannot take a big actor and make a small film with 4 sets, 3 songs, 4 action block. I think audiences have crossed it. They're expecting something that they have not seen before. So we have made a few attempts. We have done a few things which they have definitely not seen before. I think if that element works, this will be a massive film for all of us that have worked on the film. This will be very, very big.
Super. So Vijay plays a character called Gandhi in the film, right?
Yeah.
So trailer, of course, it comes through quite evidently in that sense. You are a self-confessed Vijay fan. Unga Twitter profile liye pata Vijay fan engarda romba prouda you're obviously put it out there in that sense. In Vijay's filmography till now, how do you rate Gandhi, considering you've already watched the film?
No, you love him. And he is vintage Vijay sir. You know, the Vijay sir that we grew up watching. So there will be comedy, there is action, there is romance. And it's his journey, right? You will see him in his 30s, then you'll see him in his 50s. So you're traveling with him. So for all of us who have sort of grown up with that little, I felt the last few films were missing that comedy, that konjo and the light-hearted moments that we enjoy, you know, that boy next door. எங்க வீட்டில் ஒருத்தர்னு அந்த ஃபீலிங் வந்து I enjoyed watching him performance. அதுவும் அந்த மருதமனையெல்லாம் when he did it right, we all clapped. It was like such a, he does all these things on set, and I think he went into a very serious zone of action, slightly dark on the space, so that little bit will definitely be there in this film.
Vijay Patti, of course, we spoke a lot, but poster pata, you have Prabhu Deva, you have Prashant, you have so many big names in the film in that sense. இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு full ensemble cast சேர்த்து ஒரு and putting them in a big star film where you could have easily, you know, ridden on Vijay's name and made it a Vijay film. While it is still a Vijay film, there is still so many other actors, so many other names to root for in that sense. So as a production house, இதெல்லாம் போட்டு சேர்த்து வந்து வரதுக்கு how challenging was it?
See, it was a conscious decision. I am not, we don't believe in chumma putting stars for a gimmick purpose, right? That will not work. This story, from the time VP told us or narrated the script, is a big film. Okay, it has many important characters in the film, and if you want to make the film within a particular time, it really helps when you have other stars, because the relatability from an audience perspective comes immediately. When I put adukku, not that there are good actors also that you can use, but it will take some time for you to get to know, to emotionally connect with those characters. ஏன்னா அப்புறம் அந்த கேரக்டர் எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ்மெண்ட்டுக்குன்னு ஒரு லூப் உள்ள போகணும். இந்த ஸ்க்ரீன் பிளேல அது எதுக்குமே ஸ்பேஸ் இல்லை. இது ஆரம்பிக்கும் போதே ஒரு பேங்க்ல தான் படம் ஆரம்பிக்கும், and it will end with a bang. So you just run. You run with the film. That means you have to like relate to the characters as and when they appear on screen. So this film needed all of them. Because if I had just put normal good actors, அந்த இம்பாக்ட் வந்து ஒரு when Prashant sir says என் ஃப்ரெண்டு அங்கே நிற்கும் போதுல அந்த பாண்ட் வந்து உடனே உங்களுக்கு எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் ஆகும். ஒரு ஜெயராம் சார் வரும்போது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக உங்களுக்கு வரும். யோகி பாபு சார் பார்க்கும்போது ஓகே இஸ் கேப்பபிள், இதெல்லாம் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஒரு ஆளுன்றது ஆடியன்ஸ் மைண்டில் ஏற்கனவே செட் ஆகும்போது யூ டோன்ட் வேஸ்ட் ஸ்க்ரீன் பிளே ஸ்பேஸ் to establish all of them. It adds to the film. Hence we have done it. Because see, once you have a massive star, that's the box office power. From a I'm being very practical, from a financial perspective, right? That film's market will not increase financially by adding whatever you want.
Correct.
It's like the upper limit. You've already got the upper limit. So idhula ella add பண்றது எல்லாமே வந்து அந்த upper limit ceilingல தான் நம்ம இருக்கோம். அதனால this is not a it is not for that. It is because the script demands it.
அந்த மருதமலை டயலாக் சொன்னீங்களா, ஸோ டேக்கிங் ஆஃப் ஃப்ரம் தட், அதுவும் சரி, அஃப்கோர்ஸ் தெர் இஸ் அ ரெஃபரன்ஸ் டு மங்காத்தா ஆல்சோ இன் தட் சென்ஸ். ஹவு மச் டு யூ திங்க் ஆர் தீஸ் கால் பேக்ஸ் கோயிங் டு ரியலி ஒர்க் இன் ஃபேவர் ஆஃப் த ஃபிலிம்?
I loved it. Okay, so while shooting also we all laughed. And Satyama kudikkuradra. Like, see, these are all things that we grew up watching. Theatrically, I think it'll be a blast because it'll be a celebration. Everyone we'll tuck and go back to that moment, no, when that came. It's a lot of, and it's also VP style. If you see all his films, he will always have a reference of something. That's his filmmaking style, I feel, and I love his films. I've always said he's one of the most underrated directors. Solid director, solid screenplay, and adanala it's a VP film, no, it has to have it.
So if you were to summarize what you've said so far and tell me 3 things that audiences will love in GOAT, what would they be?
First will be Vijay's performance. Okay, they will love the action block and they will love the climax was going to be.
As a producer, does it bother you, Archana, that Vijay is getting into films? Because of course he's launched a party, the party flag was launched recently. How do you see his political foray, number one, and do you think that has any bearing at all in the movie side scheme of things?
I am not so politically inclined. I only know my film world. I live in this mini reality, so I don't know how to comment on that. But with respect to the impact on box office, I think all of us are going to miss him because his film is like one tentpole film in our year from an exhibitor point of view, which will help us probably tide over 3 months of three bad months in the box office. 1 month, one film. Because guaranteed opening, guaranteed collection. அதை தாண்டி போகிறதுக்கு பிரேக் அவுட்டுக்கும் there is an opportunity, but that one revenue, no, we usually use that to deal with our small, like slower months, right? So definitely it will be a big vacuum and it cannot be filled very easily. Yeah, we'll all miss him, and working with him, all of us are going to miss him.
Let's talk a little bit about technology, Archana. GOAT, of course, there are 2 things that I immediately noticed. One, of course, I think you've brought back Vijay Kant on the big screen thanks to AI. Also, Bhavatarani has sung a song in the film. Of course, both these are possible thanks to the tools we have in today's world, artificial intelligence and all that. In future, in Indian cinema and Tamil cinema, how much of an impact is AI going to have?
AI is going to be a game changer. Okay, I believe we have to embrace technology. Okay, we cannot be scared of technology. We have to embrace them, but definitely we need to protect jobs. It has to be used very carefully from a pure creative side, from a movie making side. Limitlessல இப்போ வந்து இது மாதிரி நம்மளால கிரியேட் பண்ண முடியும்னா நம்மளுக்கு டக்குன்னு we can bring back characters back to life and we can make films, because a lot of actors, it's their own essence that we are sort of bringing onto the screen, and we are, they bring their own personality to any role or character. So சிலதெல்லாம் சில ஆக்டர்ஸால தான் அதை பண்ண முடியும். ஒரு விவேக் சாரால தான் சர்டன் ரோல்ஸ் பண்ண முடியும். அது வேற யாராலையுமே வந்து அந்த டைமிங்கோ அந்த இது பண்ண முடியாது. ஒரு கிரேசி மோகன் சாரால் you have those things la. So அந்த விஷயத்துல I feel it's beautiful because suddenly we can do something. We have that artistic license to be able to think beyond it. That is there. But on one side, it is going to take jobs. Because what requires 100 people can be done probably by 10 people. That is a very serious concern. So there has to be some sort of reskilling that needs to be done, a regulation that needs to sort of come in to protect jobs as well. That's a broader angle.
But do you see it affecting Indians'
It
milieu
will.
soon?
It will. It starts there, it will come here.
So how has the pan-Indian trend come since the time of Bahubali? Do you think that's here to stay? Do you think இப்போ தமிழ் சினிமாவில் ஒர்க் ஆகுது, மற்ற சென்டர்ஸ்லையும் ஈஸியாக ஒர்க் ஆகுமா, இல்லை ஏதாவது சேஞ்சஸ் பண்ணுமா? How do you see the pan-Indian culture in that sense going in the future?
I don't want to call it pan-Indian. I think it's overused. I feel that after OTT, right, நம்ம வந்து இப்போ all language films பார்க்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டோம். It has broken the shackle of language. So, people are now used to seeing a good Marathi film, a good Bengali film, a good Korean film. So, எனக்கு வந்து இனிமே வந்து as long as it's subtitled or it has dubbing, அந்த break நடந்துருச்சு. ஸோ ஒரு நல்ல கதை இருந்ததுன்னா எனக்கு டப் பண்ணாலும் எனக்கு ஓகே. ஐ எம் ஏபிள் டு see past that. முன்ன வந்து டப்பிங் ஃபிலிம்க்கு மைண்டில் ஒரு பிளாக் இருந்தது. ஐயோ நான் பார்க்க மாட்டேன், இது என்ன ஒரு வாய்ஸ் ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்கு, அப்படி இருக்குன்னு ஒரு பிளாக் இருந்தது இல்லை. ஆனால் பாகுபலியில் வந்து பியூட்டிஃபுல்லாக என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னா, they dubbed it so well. They took care, right from selecting the artist voice, selecting the modulation. When you see it, you will not feel it. When you see Pushpa, you will not. I've seen Pushpa in Hindi, I've seen Pushpa in Telugu, I've seen Pushpa in Tamil. They get it. அது ஒரு மாதிரி அது வருது. ஸோ அந்த கேர் எடுக்கும்போது, and with the advent of OTT, right, and breaking the barrier of language and watching dubbed films, any good film that is true to its culture like Kantara will become a pan-Indian film. For me, that is a pan-Indian film. I personally don't believe that you need actors from 5 different languages for it to be no. But if the movie demands it, say the script goes from here to Delhi, டெல்லியில வந்து வில்லன் இருக்கானா, அப்போ இட் மேக் சென்ஸ். ஓகே, கதை வந்து இப்போ கேரளாவில் இருக்குன்னா அங்கே ஒரு மலையாளம்லேருந்து ஒரு 4 பேர் வராங்கன்னா இட் வில் மேக் சென்ஸ். Otherwise, does it make sense? I don't think it makes sense. Like, the writing has to be very strong. Just because you're having larger artists, the writing has to. That's why Jailer worked so beautifully, right? Because it was written. He goes there, his friend is there, he goes to the north, Anga Jackie Shroff is there. It works. It needs to work with a writing.
Right. இப்போ you mentioned other languages films. So Archana last-ஆ பார்த்து ரொம்ப appreciate பண்ண any non-Tamil film that you saw on OTT and that you really liked in the last few months?
12th Fail.
Okay.
Brilliant movie.
Tamil cinema, we are talking about this new wave of filmmakers in that sense, right? Last 10 years, I think, since Jigardanda Karthik Subraj vandar. So on the time since that short filmmakers came into mainstream cinema, we've been talking about this emerging scene of directors, and every year we keep throwing up new names, right? Lokesh came, Pradeep Ranganathan was there. So a lot of people are there. What is the scene with respect to producers? Because a lot of us concentrate on the directors. Yeah. But for a successful director to be there, you also obviously need this side of things. So how is it looking in the production front?
Right now, it's not a very healthy space. I think we are going through a very turbulent time in Tamil cinema, or actually Indian cinema itself, because till COVID, all of us were making films for theatres. Okay, and we were betting on a film to do theatrically extremely well. And then there was a digital and satellite business that sort of was a slight support to the theatrical revenue, right? And then when COVID happened, there was a break, and then the OTT platforms came in. They were doing really well for themselves also, so they used to pay a much larger price because it would go directly to OTT, because theatrical was closed for almost 1.5 years. We were the last to open, we were the first to shut and the last to open. So the theatres got a big hit at that point of time. And திருப்பியும் தேட்டர்ஸ்க்கு ஆளுங்க வருவாங்களா, ஆடியன்ஸ் வருவாங்களா, அந்த கொஸ்டினே மைண்டில் வந்து அந்த ஜோனில் போச்சு. அப்போ வந்து ஓடிடியோட வேல்யூ வெண்ட் அப் குவைட் அ பிட். பட் சேட்டலைட் வேல்யூ ஸ்டார்ட் கமிங் டவுன், பிகாஸ் வாட் ஹேப்பன்ஸ் இஸ் theatrical, then 4-week window here, 8-week window in the north, it goes to OTT. And from there, there's another. So by the time it hits satellite, it's 100 days. ஓகே, 100 நாள் கழிஞ்சு ஓடிடியில் அவ்வளோ பார்த்துட்டு தேட்டர்லையும் பார்த்துட்டு வரும்போது ஆட் ரெவென்யூஸ் ஃபார் தெம் ஆல்சோ ஸ்டார்ட் ரெடியூசிங், ரைட்? ஸோ தட் ஸ்டார்ட் கமிங் டவுன் ஃபர்ஸ்ட். தென் ஓடிடியில் தே ரியலைஸ் தட் பை பேயிங் ஸோ மச், it's not increasing subscriptions for them. It was not making sense. Those numbers were not making sense because it's not like a ticket, right, where you're selling per ticket 50%. Adu mari or math anga illa. So they also started slowing down. So they were not and they were not interested. They were not too keen on the smaller films. They were like, let me also go. They also entered the commercial zone, commercial meter and all that. அது மாதிரி போகும்போது இங்கே ஆனால் காஸ்ட் went up, right? Now there needs to be some balance that has to come in where again we go back to a theatrical model where we make films that will run in theaters.
But is that possible for smaller films also, Archana? For like a big film like Goat, you can have...
Hey, there is no small film. There are good films. அதை எப்படி மார்க்கெட் பண்ணுன்றது is a strategy that everyone has to learn. They need to figure out innovative ways, and thanks to social media, it is far easier now to get word of mouth out than the older times, where you have to spend a lot on ads. You have to spend, it's very expensive to do prints, to do a metro wrap. Only a big film can do all that. A small film, to create that buzz is very difficult. Now it's much easier because you have memes. All you need is good cuts of your film, a good trailer. People come, right? So that definitely, so there are advantages of this digital medium as well.
The first half of 2024, I don't know if it has been great for Tamil cinema because we've seen sporadically hits. I think Ryan did well, Maharaja did well and all that. How do you see the later half of 2024? We have biggies coming up, including your film. How do you see that compensating for the lost time in the first half? Because the first half had, mind you, re-releases did really well. Gilly, of course, did really well. I know Malayalam films, including Manjumil Boys, Premalu, they all did really well, even in your theaters in that sense. So, how do you see the rest of 2024 faring?
I think everyone's comparing 2024 has not been a bad year, but I think because of last year, they're comparing those numbers with this year, just after COVID, when Vikram came, Ponniyin Selvan 1 came, that was like a peak. I think because everyone was missing theaters and all that. As long as content is good, we should be fine. It should. I don't know whether it will compensate for that. At least 2 or 3 of the big films have to do a mad run at the box office. Needs to be completely crazy numbers. Then it will compensate.
So other than Goat, which film do you see doing such crazy numbers?
You have Kangua. There are enough big Pushpa. I'm waiting for Pushpa.
You mentioned box office, Archana. You're also a theatre owner. So, on the perspective, I wanted to pick your brain with respect to something you just said in terms of theatricals. COVID kapro, there was a lull. There was a small lull because people weren't going because of social distancing, masks and all that. Then on the face of Mudichapram, we went back to the theatres in frenzy. We flocked the theatres during Ponniyin Selvan and Vikram, during the phase that you say. Now, how do you see it going? Because with respect to monies, you have to buy a ticket, you have to buy parking, popcorn. Idella add panna, it just comes to a sizable amount for a family. And if you have to go to a theatre as a family, it's a pinch in your pocket and all that. So the film that I'm going to pick I have to be goddamn sure that it's worth my paisa in that sense. So in the perspective, as a theatre owner, how do you see theatricals in the future? Because considering I have OTT subscriptions also, and I might as well wait for the film to come on OTT and then watch it. In the sooyalla, how do you see theatricals? How do you see the business of theatres in the future itself?
See, I am a big believer in the theatrical model because film buffs will enjoy their films only in theatres. OTT la vandu nam content consume பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். Time sometimes I don't even watch the film fully. I will watch half an hour today for dinner. Then tomorrow I'll continue with it, right? That's not the way films are seen. And the theatrical set, they come to watch the full experience. They've become more discerning. So I don't think bad films will have long runs anymore. Okay, but a good film, they will come to watch the theatrical experience because they know that this will have a better experience than watching it on OTT. So we have to really work hard to take effort on the screenplay, get a good script, get a good casting, and work hard. We have to go back to the discipline of making good films. Personally, right, to make a film is so difficult. It involves thousands of people working non-stop with so much love. And ஈவன் ஃபார் மீ ரைட், படம் ஸ்கிரிப்ட்லேயே தெரியும், நரேஷனில் கேட்டு லைனாக கேட்டு டெவலப் பண்ணி சீன்ஸாக பார்த்து ஷார்ட்ஸாக பார்த்து எடிட்டில் பார்த்து எல்லாம் பண்ணுவோம். ஆனால் அந்த ஆடியன்ஸ்னு வரும்போது அது வேறு மேஜிக்.
ஆமாம்,
அது வந்து யாராலையுமே வந்து ஐ கேன் நாட் சே இந்த படம் பிளாக் பஸ்டர் வித்தவுட் சீயிங் இட் இன் அ தியேட்டர் வித் 1000 people in it. That is when you actually know what you have done, right? So when that result comes and when it doesn't work, especially for a large film, my heart breaks, because being there, I know the kind of hard work that all of them put in. No one goes out to make a bad film, but I feel time has come now where we can't hide behind other things. Anyway, performance appraisal is going to be very public. We have to come, audience will judge us, we have to take that feedback, rework, go back to the drawing table and keep, like how Malayalam cinema is doing today. They're doing such a wonderful job, right? We have to go back to that.
What kind of a producer are you, Archana? There are producers who I've met who say, director sollitarpa, avar paathu parpa. There are producers like that. There are also producers who are very, very fully involved in the whole process, kind of a thing. Where does Archana fall in?
I don't get the creative side. That's not my strength. I'm not a creative person. My job is only execution. So I will do what my director wants. இதெல்லாம் தேவை, இதெல்லாம் வேணும் அப்படின்னா பண்ணுவேன். I'll get that sorted for them. I will always give, if they ask me for an opinion, I will tell them what I think as a general audience. I don't see it as a critique or like, oh, this lighting and all. I don't know any of that. For me, in the scene work ஆகுது. அதே மாதிரி கண்டிப்பாக if I feel that it is going into a nonsensical space, I will tell my directors. எனக்கு இது சுத்தமாக ஒர்க் ஆகல, அது இட்ஸ் ஆல்சோ மை ஃபிலிம். அந்த ஒரு லிபர்ட்டியில் கண்டிப்பாக அது ஐம் வெரி ஃப்ராங்க், ஐம் ப்ரூட்லி ஆனஸ்ட். So sometimes it's very difficult to work with me also, because like and then I realize இது சொல்லிருக்கவே வேணாமே, why should you hurt? But I feel better to get it out, share the feedback that moment so we can fix it, rather than theaterல உட்காந்து somebody else coming and telling them இது என்ன பண்ணிருக்கன்றதுக்கு.
How active are you on social media? And because after Greatest of All Time, I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of feedback, memes, reviews, அதெல்லாம் நடந்துட்டு இருக்கும். How much is Archana going to track all this?
I track everything.
What did you do during Bigil?
I track everything, always. I track, that is where you get a feedback loop. And feedback is very important. Even for a product development, feedback is very important. You always test it with a beta audience. Get a review. Same thing, films are no different. You have to keep getting feedback. Appo you know you're going wrong, now you can course correct. If you're in a delusional world.
Looking back at, say, 5 years ago, Bigil, how do you rate that film today?
It will always be very special for me, because it was my first film where I got involved in the process of how it is being done. And I love it, and I still watch it. So I have certain favorite scenes of mine that it's always one of my go back. There are certain films, even Englode, like Santosh Subramaniam, Thani Oruvan, Bigil, Love Today, it will be on my playlist. It will be downloaded and kept along with Tupaki, Gilli, Tirupachi. எனக்கு ஒரு பெரிய லிஸ்ட் இருக்கும், அதில் இது எல்லாமே இருக்கும். So I'll keep watching.
Okay. Yeah. Because you mentioned Love Today, Archana, I just want to end with that in that sense. What did the success of Love Today teach you? That script is the superstar. And do you think in the future there are more people like that? There are more multi-talented people like that. So do you think in the future you have a person who needs to have not a skill set, but multiple 2-3 skill sets for him or her to go the long way in films? I feel that the next generation, right, I'm feeling old now, but there is the next generation, they're so talented. Exposure is so high. They are watching films across the world. They are not limited like how I was at their age, where I would have probably seen all the English films. Thanks to the Chennai upbringing that all of us have, we'll watch all Tamil films for sure. A splattering of Malayalam, Telugu and Hindi. This is how we all grew up, right? But these kids watch Korean, they watch Japanese, Spanish, they are watching films everywhere. They're listening to music from different genres. So and their creativity with AI coming in, it's a very exciting space to be in. And they are going to break a lot of molds. And I feel Indian cinema is going to come to the world stage. We are getting there, and this generation is going to make that breakthrough. Lovely. Waiting for that, waiting to see new scripts coming your way. I hope does really well for you at the box
Thank you.
office. Very happy to interact with you after a long time, Archana. Happy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you. All the best.